Hey guys, what's up? It's Coin, and I've tried to record a video now explaining the difference between PvP and the wilderness and PKing in the wilderness and stuff, and I just can't get the words right in the video. So instead I'm going to tell you how I would fix the wilderness, because today's major drama topic is the fact that now in the wilderness your logout timer is less than your PJ timer, which effectively means that no matter who you're fighting, if you can get off of them and freeze them and get around a corner or gap them, that you will be able to log out no matter what without somebody else interrupting the fact that you were fighting that person. Now, what does this actually mean? It basically means that if you have a team of 30 people and you're on a guy and you want to switch to one of your teammates to use declaw spec and deal some more damage or whatever, you can't anymore. And the reason they did this was because too many people were basically getting fallen in on by 30-man clans having no chance to fight back, and then 50 specs would get dumped on the person while they're frozen and they can't do anything, and they have no idea who's attacking them. And so it wasn't a friendly situation to try and get people to interact with the content, go into the wilderness, killing bosses, and potentially running away from PKers, because if that person was part of a team of even 5 or 6 or 7 people, you're just one person and you just didn't stand a chance. So because I can't explain exactly the difference between PvPing and the concept of it and what PKing is in the wilderness and how those differentiate, other than the fact that you just have to trust me, there's a blurred line that got super blurred in RuneScape, and they are not the same thing on a fundamental level, that instead of going over that, I would go over what I would do to make the wilderness more friendly toward people who want to go out there, have some fun, not have to risk their bank, and still have like a PvP environment out there, and make people more comfortable that they can go out there and they can get away if they see a person and they don't want to fight and they're just there to kill bosses, or they go out there and they want to fight somebody and it's the wilderness and you should be fighting basically to the death. So let's start with my first suggestion, because I do think the loot keys were a great stepping stone. People can get a loot key, run the heck away as fast as possible and, get their kill and get out before like a team jumps on them and starts attacking. And the first thing I would change, because it's a major topic of today's discussion between a lot of YouTubers and people, is that I would actually make it so you can't log out in the wilderness. Because here's the thing, is that in any other MMO that you play, I guarantee you logging out of the game is not a legitimate strategy for getting away in a PvP scenario. It's not a legitimate way for winning in a PvP environment. It's basically just bad game mechanics that have been left in the game because people abuse it and say, well, it's there, so we use it, and if you take it away, we can't use it like we always have. And this was, kind of a thing that, struck me, because a lot of PvPers, or PKers I should say, want a lot of stuff to go into the wilderness, so they have more people to PK. But what I want to do is I want to be able to go out into the wilderness, say I want to go fight this boss, and then if someone shows up to fight me, I want to have a fair chance of either getting away or fighting back. And having a 30-man team jump on me just isn't how it works. But as a player, I also believe the illegitimacy of logging out during a fight or while you're trying to get away is just not healthy for the game overall. So what I would propose as the first update to the wilderness is the fact you should not be able to log out while you're in the wilderness. And you might be thinking, well, that's a terrible idea. You'll never get away from people, and teams will just jump on you anyways, and all of this stuff. But what making it so you can't log out of the wilderness will do is make it so that when you go into the wilderness on a world, you're locked to that wilderness. You can't log out if you see a white dot. There's no auto logout scripts you can use. The game just won't let you log out in the wilderness. And this can invite a lot of botters. They have to keep that in mind. They have to create a security team that can catch people botting in the wilderness for 20 hours a day or whatever. But what those people are also doing is they're staying in the same world in the same spot. So if you're a PKer and you want to go out into the wilderness looking for some people who are killing Callisto or something, then that person is not going to be able to log out on you. You're going to run up to them. They're going to be in level 30 wilderness. You're going to throw a TB. It might be half or 2.5 minutes, and they'll have to fight you for 2.5 minutes while they try and get down to level 20 wildy, or level 30 instead of 35 wildy or whatever with their teleport, while just trying to survive your teleblock. But they don't have to worry about 30 people logging in underneath this guy or anything. What they have to worry about is 30 dots running onto their screen because this guy called his team, and instead of just hopping underneath the guy and having 30 people there at Callisto, their whole team had to hop at Edgeville, teleport up to Callisto with like Dark Crab teleports and stuff, and then the guy already had his chance to get away by the time everyone was there, or fight, get the kill on the PKer, and then get the heck out of there. He runs out of the wilderness, banks all his stuff, and then he has to decide whether he wants to risk going back up there with this guy knowing that he was stuck on that world or not. Now, that's a pretty big update, making the wilderness so that you can't log out of it. But I think overall it's a healthier balance for the game, because from my perspective, when you get into a player versus player scenario, logging out is just bad game mechanics to be able to log out to get away. And that's the first thing that I would like to see. And while you can't log out in combat and stuff, I think it's unfair for the average player to basically not have any idea what's about to hit them when they walk into the wilderness. And that's one thing that basically scares away 99% of the player base. People go out to do clues in 20k risk and stuff, and sometimes you see somebody, sometimes you get DDS'd out by a one-itemer that's just running around scouting, sometimes you get a team of 30 on you for your 20k. And so the next thing I would really like to see happen is back in bounty hunter days and stuff, we used to have skulls above our heads that told people how much risk we had. And I would like to see that come back to the wilderness. If you step out in the wilderness with 200 mil risk, I want there to be a red skull above your head saying, I am a high risk player, I'm risking 200 mil, come fight me if you dare, or whatever, And if someone gets into a fight with this person, risking 200 mil, they know, this person's got like maybe a bowfa in their inventory ready to whip out on me or whatever, or a volatile staff or whatever. And other PKers know this guy's worth killing, and if they have a gray skull, they have like less than 5k or something, so it's like this guy's got like a spade, some arrows, and a magic short bow or something. Like, why would I waste my time killing him? It's like that kind of, that's more friendly to people who are trying to get into the game, especially because then you don't have to worry about someone maybe challenging you to a fight in low level wilderness and bringing like something that you didn't agree upon in. And the last thing I would change is probably making a legitimate PvP system. And I'm not talking about their PvP arena where they're like, yeah, everyone can try out builds and stuff, and this is gonna introduce people into the world of pure PKing and Zerker PKing and main PKing and stuff, because that's not what it's gonna do. That's what they hope it's gonna do, but the reality is that everybody just plays on accounts that they make. If you want to play a Zerker, you've already made a Zerker. Or if you're new to the game, you might play this game mode and be like, wow, that was really cool. But then when you realize how much work it takes to play a Zerker, and you can't use certain attack styles and weapons and things, you're going to be immediately put off from how much work it takes to get into that kind of game mode. And then you're going to fall into the boat where some people only want to play the minigame when they're a Zerker, and then other people are only going to want to play when they're a main. And so I think they're doing a terrible job with this whole PvP arena thing and whatnot. But the wilderness as a whole, is not friendly to more casual players, and it has a lot of issues with just bad game mechanics. And what I would like to see is those bad game mechanics addressed and fixed before I even want to step back into PvP. I PvP'd in like 2008, 2010, and now we're in 2022, and I haven't touched PvP in 12 years because it sucks. And the wilderness is not PvP. The duel arena, where you're wearing all LMS robes and you're staking 200 mil, that's real PvP. You're going in on an even playing field, you're risking something, you're getting a reward, and there's no imbalance other than the people's skill level. And so that's what I would like to see, not updates to the wilderness and saying that people going into the wilderness is going to revive PvP, because it's not. It's just reinforcing people's opinion that more people in the wilderness equals better PvP situations, and that's not the case. And that it's just reviving people's conscious decision to think that the wilderness is the PvP system of RuneScape, where RuneScape doesn't really have a PvP system, it just has player versus player in a PK system. And all the other PvP systems are all more PVM rewards. You know, you're not doing them to prove you're better than somebody else and stuff, you're just kind of doing them for the rewards. And that's the kind of system the game needs, is a system that puts people on a fair playing field. You know, we need an ELO system, we need to be able to sign up with teams and have a dedicated team roster for a season or whatever, and we need to be able to have a system that lets us go against people on an even playing field that are our skill level to start, and then gets progressively harder the better we get at the game. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was really kind of a longer video, and it didn't really explain the overall problem that a lot of PKers have with how they're updating the wildy and stuff, but in my opinion, I think the couple of changes that I made would make for a much healthier environment in the wilderness, and therefore more people would be more comfortable with going out and actually doing content there, and you would have a much fairer system for people to PVM, and then while they're PVMing, have the ability to fight back against a PKer and either get away or not. It's not supposed to be a 30v1 system, and that's hopefully what I hope they end up getting rid of.